Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Nick Dianni. And starting Friday, we have club football. League football is back. We are so close to being all the way back. 3 leagues back this weekend: the Premier League, Liga in France, and we have football in Spain in La Liga. I'll have some plays for those up on the socials. Nothing that I am in love with for the European weekend, stuff that I will bet on because football is back. But we've got, 4 games that we're going to jump into this weekend. We talked futures last week, so if you are still looking for futures, go check that podcast. We've got a bunch of them for the Premier League for you. We did okay, or I did okay on Community Shield. Liverpool could not get a third to help Nick out. But we are back into it. And other than this week's both teams to score parlay, I think we're done with the MLS, which feels great for me. I don't know about you.
No, listen, I think I've done really well with MLS this year, so I can't complain too much, but this whole schedule of like Club World Cup interrupting it and then CONCACAF League interrupting it and now Nations League interrupting it or Leagues Cup, excuse me, interrupting it is like just be careful. If you're continuing to bet MLS, totals have shifted very high, like 3.5 for most games, as it typically does with MLS. But teams just it's like the European League, right? They're running out of gas because they're playing a ton of games and they're doing a ton of travel and just proceed with caution.
All right, let's get into it. We start with Liverpool. They're taking on Bournemouth. I feel like Liverpool tend to play this Friday night opening fixture in the Prem quite a lot. It tends to be a high scoring affair. Tends to see goals early. I have 2 plays. I do love the first half over 1.5 at plus 100. Once again, we cashed that in like 12 minutes on Saturday. All I know is that and the both teams are scoring over 2.5 cash in 21 minutes over the weekend. Mo Salah is an opening day merchant, but you're not going to get any remotely good numbers on him, so stay away from that. The other thing I'm going to play is Liverpool and both teams to score plus 135. Bournemouth did not have a great time at Anfield last season. They lost 3 starting members of their back line, one just a couple days ago, another center back leaving, and they lost their starting keeper. So a lot of change at the back for Bournemouth, but that attack was very good in the Premier League last year. Justin Kluivert kind of broke out, became a little bit of a star. Again, another pen merchant, but Semenyo, very good player. Some strikers that are good and going to be dangerous, and Liverpool's defense did not look organized. I believe Ryan Gravenberch is still out suspended for
Suspended.
Liverpool
Yep.
because he picked up that dumb red card against Crystal Palace in the last game of the season last year. So I kind of expect Liverpool's midfield to still be a little open in the back. I will expect Konate and Van Dijk to be playing at a faster speed than they were on Sunday. I think, if you watch that game, they definitely weren't fully going for it. It's the Community Shield. It doesn't really matter, but I like goals early. I like Liverpool and both teams to score. I could be talked into over 3.5, but I think the number's like minus 110, which I could not be talked into at that
Not
price.
this early in the year. No.
No.
So let me start off by saying, and I may or may not have done this in my picks. I actually think I didn't, but I am a huge proponent early in the season. I think all the values on the underdogs. I think all the values on the upsets. I think there's a lot of spread numbers that are really good. Like, I'm sure you can get +1, +1.5 in a lot of these underdogs, maybe even +2 in some of them. That's a great way to approach the opening week or two of the season. But I'm with you in this one. I like over 1.5 first half goals at even money. It's the first thing that jumped out. I'm glad it's the first thing you said. Pool will be scoring or conceding in the first half, no doubt in my mind. So I think we very likely get to 2 goals.
I
I
think
will
this
also say you mentioned Kluivert. I'm sorry. He is plus 500. Like that's insane. He fell off the face of the earth at the end of the year. But he started out the year last year really, really hot. And if you think that they're going to get on the score sheet, plus 500 is a big number for him.
and he takes the penalties, and Liverpool have been sloppy with the penalties, both in Community Shield and in the friendlies this season. Kept no clean sheets across the preseason this year. Not that that's the ultimate decider. There were games that Simicast and a defensive midfielder were playing as center backs for Liverpool, but again, I think right now there's some frailties at the back. Jumping to Saturday morning, Aston Villa are taking on Newcastle, and I have asked every Newcastle fan that I know, and it is more than one, who the hell is starting at striker on Saturday morning for Newcastle because it will not be Alexander Isak. Um, I'm still not sure what the injury update is with Anthony Gordon. He picked up a bit of a knock in one of their last preseason games. I have doubts about Villa. We have,
Yep.
as a podcast, have doubts about both of these teams. I
Yes.
really wanted to put this game in our both teams to score parlay, but I'm just concerned that Newcastle aren't going to be able to create a lot. Alonga 50-50 on if he plays. I have a lot of questions about
Yep.
Aston Villa and Newcastle. So I'm going to take two things here. I'm going to stick with what I know. Villa do tend to score goals at home. So I like team total over 1.5 at -110. If it gets to a plus number, I feel way better about it. But opening day, Newcastle having some cohesion problems in the offseason. I like Villa to score two at home. And Ollie Watkins, two shots on target is +140. I'll play both of those all day.
I like that. I think I did see a Longa shot on target. One is like even money. So that's not a bad look if he's starting. Um, I'm with you. I have bigger doubts about Newcastle than I do about Villa. Villa is at home. That's just really where the edge is coming from for me. So I'm going against what I just told you. What good advice was that I like Villa money line +130. I just think it's a really good number for a team at home. And if you think they're getting two goals, I think they're winning this game. So I think you could pair those two together, even if you'd like to.
Yeah, I thought about money line, so I'm glad we we're on the same page. Opening game of the weekend. There's some other fun games. The 10 o'clock window. Like I will definitely be watching Sunderland West Ham. I will be keeping an eye on Brighton and Fulham.
Kind of like West Ham money line for what it's worth.
I do too. I do too. I kind of like the first half over in Brighton, and Fulham and Burnley. I think they're going to get smoked this year, but we'll see. Wolves, Manchester City. We're not going to talk about it, but Rodri is not playing in that game. Look out for both teams to score. It's a good number. Again, I think I'm going to. I My fiance is
Who,
out of town for the weekend. I'm going to bet every game. Okay, I'm
who's their
probably
goalie, by the way? Who's starting in goal for City?
probably Ederson.
I thought he was like on a plane to Turkey or something.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah,
He's the tutor is coming over this week to start him on his foreign language skills, and then
gotcha.
by the end of the window he'll be gone because Donnarumma is coming in. Because I honestly my big brain Donnarumma take is that they are just buying him so that no one else can buy him, and that way he can't knock them out of the Champions League in their mind. And it's just we're gonna pay 50 million to keep this guy off the streets.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, let's move to Sunday morning. Nottingham Forest Brentford is an interesting game, but we're going to Chelsea as they take on Crystal Palace, a London derby. And I was very impressed with Crystal Palace in the Community Shield. They officially still, as of right now, of recording this, have not lost any of their starters from that FA Cup run last year. Mark Gahey may or may, it sounds like he might stay. Sounds like he's okay with seeing out the rest of his contract at Crystal Palace for the year. Eze may leave, but he hasn't left yet. Both teams to score has hit in four straight head-to-head between these two clubs. I think that Crystal Palace can go to Chelsea and score a goal. Both teams' scores like -137 in some books, -140 on others. If you can get it at -135, you take it. The other thing I like is Mark Cucurella, one shot in the game at -105. We know he loves a rip. And I don't know. I think this is a tough test for both teams, but I think that Crystal Palace are better than their 12th place record last year. We know that they got off to a slow start last year. This year, they don't have all the players playing in Europe. Chelsea do. Chelsea are without Levi Colwill, who's one of their starting center backs. So already a man down at the back, a defense that I don't have a lot of high regards for. I think Crystal Palace score, but I think Chelsea win, but I like both teams to score.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that a step further in a second. I will say, like the last game against Liverpool just threw my whole notion of Crystal Palace out of whack, right? And like you said, they haven't made the sales yet that I've been hearing about all summer. So I don't know what to make of Crystal Palace. I haven't known what to make of them for the past ever, certainly the last 2 or 3 years. So I kind of agree with you. I think they can keep this one close. I think they get on the score sheet. They were like decent on the spread, I think at plus 1.5 if you're so inclined. But I'm taking your both teams to score to heart, and let's shoot for the moon in this one. Both teams to score first half plus 300. I don't know. I've made worse plus 300 bets.
It's
So we're gonna
cheeky.
take a stab week one, and if it hits, you guys have to listen to every episode the rest of the season. That's just how it works.
Yeah, yeah. That it is. It is what it is. All right, we jump to the big game of the weekend. a derby of non whatever. It is a derby. Manchester United are taking on Arsenal. I don't know what the name is for it. Formerly Pizzagate. Manchester United with their bright shiny new toys in their front line. Arsenal, hot take. I don't think Gyökeres starts this game. I think it'll be Kai Havertz. Um, Arsenal with their banging their head against the glass. Can we score goals? Because I don't think Mikel Arteta secretly likes to score goals. Um, Ultimately, to me, this game is coming down in the midfield, and Manchester United haven't fixed that yet. You can buy all the strikers and all the wingers you want, but if you can't get them the ball, they're not going to score. Arsenal have the better midfield here. They have been disorganized at times in the offseason, but I am way more keen on Arsenal than Manchester United. Arsenal money lines at even money. Both teams to score in over 2.5 is at even money. Arsenal team total over 1.5 is even money. Um, I'm just going to stick with Arsenal. Um, yeah, I think they'll get it done at Manchester United. I just don't see. I don't. I know that Arteta knows that he has to get things moving quickly, especially with this Rodri injury, with Liverpool lacking some cohesion. Chelsea are like all the Chelsea fans are fully out and about. Like I said on TikTok today and Instagram today that PSG have the best midfield in the world. And like, what about Chelsea? What about Chelsea? We spanked them 3-0 in a final. A 7-game tournament in the summer. Not where were you in the regular season? Okay, like let's calm down. But Arsenal know they have to get started early, and it starts at Old Trafford on Sunday.
Here's a question I'm going to pose to you. Who do you think has better attacking talent, United or Arsenal?
Oh,
And that's my answer. That you answered my question right there because I don't think United are that far behind Arsenal, if they're behind Arsenal at all. I think Seshko is going to be a better fit in the Premier League than Gyökeres. I really do. So that's my hot take. Guys, come back to me in May and we'll see where we're at. I think the books are begging everybody to take Arsenal in this game. That's really just, this is where I'm going to err with a little bit of caution because I agree with you. They're the better team. They could and should win the game. I just think this is the trappiest line of the entire weekend. I think United double chance at minus 120 at home seems like it's okay. I also really like both teams to score at minus 120. I think United are definitely getting a goal in this one. So wouldn't shock me to see Arsenal get off to a little bit of a slow start. I don't think United have all the answers yet, but there's just no way, shape, or form that they can be any worse than they were last year. So getting a point out of this game would be huge for them. I think both of those are a solid stab for an underdog in this one.
here's a United prop that I just looked up, and I like the number a lot. Amad Diallo, 2 shots in the game, plus 135. Not on target, just 2 shots. I have to look at things. I don't know if he's like a guaranteed starter. If he starts, that's a playable. That's a play for me. He could start
And
at the
you're
right
talking about
wing.
not a guaranteed
Yeah,
starter. He was probably their best attacker last year.
what? Not probably. Well, Bruno,
Bruno, right?
second best attacker. And I think he should be starting. The question is he starting at a right wing? Is he starting as a right wing back? I don't know where the best position for him is. I also don't know if you want to start him at right wing back in this game when he's going to be going up again. I mean, look, Martinelli's not a great left winger in the Premier League anymore, but I would probably want someone a little more defensively minded going up
Sure.
against this Arsenal attack. Um, I will say I do lean more so. You asked me about the front line. I do lean so more so Arsenal just because Saka, in my opinion, is probably a top 5 attacker in the Premier League.
Sure.
Manchester United don't have one of that. And one thing I do want to point out for United is Cunha and Mbuemo, great signings, Premier League proven. Both were like the 2 highest overperforming XG guys in the
Yeah.
Premier League last year. So we could
But
see.
I mean, I think when it's all said and done, I don't think the two of them are starting together, game in and game out. You know
No, I
what I
don't think
mean?
so
Like
either.
that's kind of, I think United are going to have some depth when they get it figured out. I don't know if they're going to get it figured out game one. It's a
No,
tall task, but
no.
I don't think they're going to be a pushover the way they were last year. I think a goal for them will come in this one.
I also think, and I know Arsenal have a great defense, but I think Manchester United are going to be one of those teams that are winning a lot of 3-2 games this year.
Yep. Could see
Or
it.
like I think that back line is a mess, but I kind of think the way that they are attacking the money with, all right, you can score 2, we'll score 3, or we'll score 4. And it's a bold strategy. We'll see if it plays out. I have, like I said, I have 2 games from Ligue 1 that I'll talk about on socials, 2 games from La Liga that I'll talk about on socials. So look out for that. I'm going to be betting the board like crazy just because it's the opening weekend. And you know what, I missed this. You know what, having to dig deep into some of these other leagues, it was not easy for me this summer. The fact that I can have as many TV screens in front of me and as many games on at the same time, I'm excited. I'm pumped up. Our both teams to score parlay is three legs. It's plus 268. I do have two MLS games in this because both teams to score, like there were games in Liga and in La Liga that I liked both teams to score, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is minus 120. I'm like, I'm not sticking this in a parlay. Like, not that's not what we're doing. Brighton Fulham. Tell me how that's not both teams to score. That is a
Fulham doesn't score, maybe. I don't know. That would
yeah,
be how.
yeah, I don't know, but that's a both teams to score game. Orlando are taking on Sporting Kansas City.
Yes.
Two absolute both teams to score heavies in the Premier League and the MLS, and then the Kings of both teams to score. Chicago are taking on St. Louis this weekend, plus 268.
Love it.
Yeah, there we go. That will wrap it up from us. We'll be back next week. We'll have Serie A next week. We'll have the Bundesliga next week. So we will make sure that you guys are covered. We'll probably have more games to talk about. Until then, for more picks, I'm Andrew Passaro on Twitter and Instagram. He's Nick Dianni at Nick Dianni. We'll be talking about it. We'll be sweating it. If you have questions, feel free to jump in the comment section. And as always, like, subscribe, review, all the good stuff. We're helping you out. Just help us out. That's all we're asking. Let's have a great opening weekend of the Premier League and of football in general. And we'll see you guys next week.
Good luck.